Good evening. This is Carrie V. Dean with another episode of A Dullard Speaks. Tonight, the main focus of my speech is on the confused mission that should not have been a mission, that was a success, not a failure, but not exactly a full success, bombing of Iran by the U.S. on behalf of Israel. Funny, Trump won office by saying that he would not allow the U.S. to get in the middle of the Russians oppressing the Ukraine. But he's going to get in the middle of Israel yet again, throwing rocks at another nation and not able to cover their own butt on it. It just gets... this man has no clue. No clue. Putin and Netanyahu have pulled him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, till he has no clue who he wants to back. Well, Putin issued him a warning. He said, hey, don't get in the middle of it, because you don't know what you're getting in the middle of. Putin did warn him, which shows some form of friendship between the two, the Donald and him. But Donald's not going to listen to his good friend. Oh no. Because it's Israel, and Israel has some of the richest that we can't afford to lose. So we're going to go with Israel, because that way all the haters in America that are Christian can say that we're more in line with the Jews. Okay. And knowing the fact that the Bible is mostly a book of Jewish genocide over and over and over again, even in today's society. They're part of the reasons that the U.S. had to go over there and help them tear down the Libertarian nation. Yeah. Remember Libya? The Liberians that all lost their lives and became scattered people? Why? Because Israel got tired of them getting all the credit for covering their butts every time they threw a rock at someone. Yeah, the Israel leadership that hasn't been too great. They cry out every time after they've thrown a rock and hit someone in the head that they shouldn't have. And you know the old saying, don't poke a sleeping bear, especially a grizzly bear. Well, guess what? Israel's not too smart in doing that. They poked the bear, and then after they heard that the bear was being backed by Russia, China, and South Korea, decided, oh, wait a minute, oh crap, Any one of these countries can supply them what they need to develop. So what they do? Oh, wait a minute. We let that little ego of ours get out of hand because we're the chosen people. Oh no. Lord, what should we do? Oh, get the Americans involved. They're stupid enough to come and stand up for you. And like good little lackey that Trump is when he's chasing money, he jumped to the forefront to say, I was the first to try to protect Israel from Iran attacks. When, just like in the case of Russia and Ukraine, Israel was the aggressor because they blamed the Iranians for the Hamas attacks on them. Instead of working with the Iranians to chase down the Hamas and wipe them out together, they chose to throw rocks at any nation that wasn't considered part of the Jewish nation. And that's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. They said, well, Iran started it. They sent Hamas over and killed a bunch of our people. That's like me, because I don't like a group of people. Go stand in the middle of those group of people when I get my ass kicked 100,000 times. Scream, oh, you see? They're just violent assholes. They just attacked me for no reason. I did not insult them. I did not provocate against them. I was just walking through the area and they beat me up. Yeah. Well, the insult was, I knew that those people didn't like me and I walked through their neighborhood anyway. So, can't go around disrespecting and ignoring other countries' feelings because you're Israel and you're the chosen people. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. And if you read your own Bible and understood your own Bible, you would know it doesn't work like that. So please, give me a break. And yes, I do realize the Bible I speak of is heavily bastardized by the so-called colonists to favor what they wanted any other nations to believe. As anyone with common sense would know, a man that was born and grew up in the desert is no way, shape, or form will look like a white man coming out of a fancy palace anywhere else in the world. It's just impossible. Whether his skin tone was white or black doesn't matter. The message that he brought to the world is what was supposed to be being received, and it seems that everything but the message on these newfound Christians in America is being preached. How can you make America great again when the person that you voted for is void of any moral conduct? He has no moral standards. There is no new low he cannot go to or won't go to, because he has faith only in one thing: making money. He could care less. He's a grifter. That's a grifter's whole priority. Stay rich. That's it. If I want a woman, I'll buy her. That is his motto. Sorry, Melania, excuse me. Let me not butcher your name, Melania. But you guys weren't in love when you married. You married him for the money and the prestige, not realizing that his prestige wasn't all that great. And he married you just to have something pretty on his arm. Which, sorry to say it, you look okay, but sorry. You're no top model. Okay? It's kind of weird. But yet, here we are, getting back to the topic. Here we are, where this man has in-run his whole cabinet and gone directly to the heads of military and organized a strike against Iran. And didn't even wait to get verification on the strike itself to start announcing that we did this and we were successful and oh gosh, yes, and this, that, and the other, and common sense this and common sense that. Not thinking about his standings is already on weak legs with NATO. Not only with NATO, but the rest of the world. Everyone's looking at him like, what a buffoon. The reason why most other NATO countries did not go rushing to Israel's aid is because Israel started the war with Iran. As usual, they threw rocks, and Iran said, hey, you know, we're like crazy madmen when it comes to that kind of stuff. You throw rocks, we throw boulders. So, of course, Israel went back and said, well, you know what? We got more rocks than you have boulders, so we're just going to bomb your cities until we decimate them. Again, proving yet again that Israel, not the people of Israel, the leadership of Israel, are still genocidal in mentality. If they can't have control of all those regions, then they'll just kill everybody in it so that they don't have to worry about traveling wherever they want to go. They wouldn't have to worry about traveling anywhere they wanted to go if they weren't treating people so rotten. But oh no, the world owes them something, because look at all the stuff we've suffered in the Holocaust. And there's this. Yes, the Holocaust happened. And most of us in the world realize that. And it was a horrible thing to go through. But how long is the rest of the world to keep covering your butt when you keep uncovering your butt? Okay? Is it if you had bombed Egypt or anybody else in the world over the Hamas stuff, this probably would have blown over in the 12 days. It would have been all over with because they would have fought you back on equal standing and got a little support from all the other nations to attack you and said, hey, we're not trying to kill off all the people of Israel. We just want your government to stop. Which means you're making any place you go in Israel, you're making everybody that's near you a target. So I have no respect for the government of Israel right now. Just like I have no respect for Donald Trump and his cabinet right now. Everything that they're doing is making Americans more of a target than we already were. Okay? Americans have been a big target wherever we go, period. Because most of the Americans that are traveling is not the true face of the diversified America back home here. It's all you people that get a little fame, a little popularity, and think that your behind's neat washed everywhere you go. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. Yeah, all you oligarchs that are running the government now, because Trump sure in the hell isn't. All Trump's doing is running around like a clown, making a mess of everything. I suppose it was Biden's fault that he walked out of the G7 talks and didn't even meet with Zelensky or anyone else truly at the G7 talks. He canceled and pulled out of 2 meetings that I would thought would be of importance. The first one was a meeting yet again on a territory that was supposed to be neutral to both the United States and the Ukraine, and he pulled out of those talks. Why? Because Putin put out an article. Putin didn't even talk to Trump in person, didn't even call him on the phone. He just put out an article. I have no intentions for ceasing fire. So, yet again, there Trump is again. So far, he's zero on all accounts of world peace. Every place he's gone, he's left them more war-torn and gearing for war than not. I can't think of any place he's been that there wasn't a bunch of civil unrest. So much so that we had to take in white South Africans because they're being oppressed. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What happened in South Africa is about to happen here in America, because come next year during the midterms, I have a feeling all you spineless Republicans that have allowed Trump to get away with everything that he's getting away with now, including backdooring you into a war. I mean, I shouldn't even say that, because how Trump campaigned on hate and how he was building up should have tipped anyone off that the man was, the first thing he got in office was trying to figure out a way to get us into a war, so that the American people aren't focused on all the other wrongs that he was doing to undo the Constitution. If I get us into a war, then I can get out of this mess I put myself in. Saw that coming from day one after he won. Saw that coming from a mile away. Every time he said he's not a warmonger, my stomach just cringed. He's going to do the Republican thing. Republicans always do this every time. You count the number of years until the Republicans pull this crap where we go into a war. Oh, here we go. We're going into a war because the Republican Party had the majority of the House or the majority of the Senate, and they screwed everything up for us again on the way they were voting and how the bipartisan vote had to go in order to get a budget passed. They piggybacked a bunch of junk onto the bill so that time had run out and everybody had to vote for something to balance the budget so that people didn't go hungry during the winter and the Congress shut down. And yeah. So as soon as they win the presidency, what does that president do? Try to find ways to get us into some kind of little small war that we can get into a little scuffle and get out of, so that we can say, ha ha, the Republicans were the savior for America. Well, guess what? We're at that point again. We're at that point where Trump has butchered America so bad. He's done everything but made America great again. What's going to happen is we're going to get into this little shuffle, and yeah, and then I'll say it was successful because I did everything I could to cause peace. And if they break the peace, then I'm out of it. It's like I wash my hands of it. But he's finding out it's not that easy this time. Want to know why? Because you got involved with Jewish people. And unlike Americans, they're not going to let you forget that you were the bad guy in all of this. Especially after you lied and said you had talked to each side about a ceasefire, and each side has both come out in the press and said, no, you haven't. You said one little peace part to this side, you said one little peace part to that side to get them to allow you to bring your bombers over to look like a hero. But then you never got to the part about what the agreement was of the ceasefire. Oh yeah, you told us over here in the U.S. you did, and you said what the terms were. And dude, who do you think you were fooling with that bull crap plan of yours? 12 hours, then 24 hours? Excuse me. No. That doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And Israel showed you. No, it don't work like that. You come talk to us and come up with a real plan for a ceasefire. Not this crap you quoted to your U.S. citizenry to make yourself look like a king. Yeah, that's right. You're not a king. excuse me, gotta stay hydrated. I'm in South Carolina and it's quite hot even at night. Yeah, if it's hot, why am I wearing this hoodie sweatshirt? Well, actually, it's more like a hoodie long sleeve t-shirt, and it has cotton on the inside of it, which, you know what happens when you sweat, it gets soaked and it keeps my exterior cool so that I don't overheat in the night. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. Drinking lots of water, as you just saw. Got to stay hydrated. Back to the subject. Sorry, brain just wandering all over the place here because there's so much to talk about. And so little time. But on the little time that I have left, what I want to say on all of this is, me as an American citizen with no true voice in America, those who voted for this freak, guess what? Welcome to fuck around and find out, because now you're in the find out phase of it, and you're finding out that everything that you wanted to hear and only wanted to listen to, that's what you voted for. And that's not what he was saying. As the old saying goes, I know you thought you heard what I had to say, but what you heard and what I said is not what I meant. Because what you thought I meant is not what you heard. What does all that nonsense mean and mumbo jumbo? It means you heard what you wanted to hear. You didn't actually listen to what he was saying and what he was implying. You didn't read between the lines. You just went gung-ho, voted on your hate. That's all. Because that's what I did the first time he was in office. I voted on my hate. And after I did that, it was too late, because I had already given my vote. But I had to think about it and say, what the hell did I just do? I just voted for this man because I heard some pretty words that made sense to me. And chances are, he's not going to do a damn thing more than anyone else. And guess what? He did even less than a damn thing more. The first time in office, everything that he said he did, he didn't do. That was all done by the previous administration before him. The quiet bills and stuff and subtle things that Obama had passed, that when he read them made sense to him, so he didn't touch those. He was too focused on he was going to do away with the healthcare. He didn't bother to fix the border. This is the first time in office, mind you. He didn't bother to fix the border. He didn't bother to manage the fallout of COVID. Nope, he left all of that for Biden to fix. Biden fixed all of that. As soon as Biden fixed all of that, now he wants to return and swoop in like, oh, I fixed and I corrected because Biden broke everything. I'm sorry. We had jobs. And there was a plan that by this time of this year, there would have been at least another 100 180,000 people working and not on the streets. Had Trump not come in with all his executive orders, vetoing out anything Biden had written without reading it. That's the thing about these newfound Republicans. They don't even read their own bills. They don't even read their own bills, because had they read their own bills, they would have saw that what they had written, that with the bipartisan help, what they had written to manage the border, they would have had all the manpower they needed without going over budget. Right now, they're over budget. They're over budget for all the operations and stuff that they're doing. That's why they had to have Doge, was because they had to cut out a bunch of stuff to get the money to cover for what Trump is doing with the military and all of that stuff. That's where the money is going. That's why no one's seen any Doge money come to them yet. That's why you're not going to see any Doge money ever get to you, because that money's being used to cover for Trump's over budgeting, grandiose ideas to pump himself up as world ruler, because that's how he sees himself. And he's the only one who sees himself like that. And that's the sad part. So, I don't know what the rest of America is seeing, but what I'm seeing is a sad, pathetic narcissist that never heard the word no in his life. And when he did hear the word no, he made sure he screamed and yelled and jumped the loudest and wailed and frailed until someone came in and wiped his behind and told him everything was going to be all right. Sounds familiar? Yeah, that's the Trump we're seeing today. He's reverting back to those childhood days where all he had to do was hold his breath until he was going to die. And someone would come and change their minds and give him what he wanted. And he still acts that way today. And those, my folks, make the perfect bullies. And it seems like we got a house full of them. Especially on the Republican side. I have never seen so many spineless Republicans in my life. I mean, at least in the past, I could kind of agree with the logic of some of the Republicans. But in the last 20 years, that's been eroding. That's been eroding rapidly. And by 2016, there was almost no faith in the Democratic Party anymore, because people got tired of hearing the same old slick. Okay, and (2024) Kamala Harris was good, but she kept refusing to go there with them. No, she should have gone there with them. Every time they brought up about the border, she should have brought up about, why did you not vote for it then, when we had a good bill that would have done all the things that you're saying the Democrats didn't do? Why aren't you using that bill now? Democrats should be out platforming that. Why aren't they using their own bill that they came out with underneath Biden, that Biden said okay he would sign it? Why aren't they passing that bill? Why did they trash that bill? Oh, that's right, so Trump could platform and run on he's going to fix the border. Is the border fixed? No. It's in worse shape than it ever was. And a lot of people say, well, no, we're not getting the illegals coming in. Excuse me. Bull crap. They were allowing still the migrant workers come across the border. And as soon as they did, this is how Trump was running on his campaign. He said, well, they came over illegally. Okay, all you farmers and stuff gonna say that you didn't request that those people return for the next year's season to do your crops? Well, stop crying. Stop crying. Because the man stood there and told you he was gonna kick all the illegals out of America. Oh, he said only the... No, he did not. He said all illegals from America. Yeah, he mostly emphasized. He emphasized, but he never said just the illegal criminals. He emphasized they would focus on them first. Well, guess what? There were none to focus on because they were already in prison. You know how many illegals actually commit crimes in the U.S.? It is far less than Americans committing crimes on Americans. And the farmers are finding out now what that looks like. Yeah, you got rid of all the illegals. Now you're going to blame for all the stealing and theft around your farm. Starting to look like our American government to me. Just facts. This new Republican office cares nothing for facts, because if they went by the facts, they lose. And they know this. If more people went by the facts rather than their feelings when they go to vote, they would have known that what he was preaching was pure bull crap. You're going to preach Christianity and then you break several of the commandments, not to mention half the words of the Bible. You only select those that you truly did not understand. Like Matthew 13:10-16. How many have read that and not understood? Well, you're understanding now, because half of you out there that were ardent Donald Trump supporters until this weekend, and the bombs flew, and he was touting that we had a successful strike, and oh no, then found out the whole thing was fake. And what he was touting as his ceasefire was what he told each estate separately and differently. Iran was under the idea that within 24 hours, both sides were to de-escalate and cease firing on each other. Israel was under the impression that, okay, after 12 hours, I have to stop firing on Iran. You see what just happened there? Yeah, you tell one side one thing, you tell the other side the other thing, and guess what? Now you got Iran firing on Israel long after Israel has finally stopped firing on them. Oh! Well, that's not what I did. Oh, yes, that's exactly what you did, Trump. That's exactly what you did. You went over there not to de escalate, but to escalate it. You needed to escalate it because you need America to get into a war to cover up for your incompetent handling of the whole situation. Just like your incompetence in not handling the mess that's still going on between Russia and Ukraine. You want to know why you can't handle it? Because these men that you're chasing them behind and kissing up to do not respect you. You're just a little puppet and they're just playing you all over the map. And they're going to continue to do that. For anyone that voted for you, I pray for your souls and I pray for you. I'm pretty sure some of you regret having voted for the man like I did the first time around after he came in and didn't keep not one promise. Not one. Oh no, I'm lying. He did keep one promise. He got more tax breaks for the rich. But it did nothing for the rest of us. And don't forget the sanctions that he put against China and other parts of the world pretty much wrecked our auto industry back then. But he blamed all that on Biden. Yeah, that was Biden's fault. No, it wasn't Biden's fault. Biden went in and cleaned up most of the mess you did so that our auto industry could come back to life. You come back in with all your sanctions and tariffs and destroyed the auto industry. Not only the auto industry, half of the small businesses. I mean, since you've gotten into office, within your first 3 months, there were 7 businesses that went out of business, small businesses that went out of business all across South Carolina because they couldn't get the funding needed to stay open. That's sad. And you say America first? There are hospitals closing in areas and hospices and outpatient centers that went bankrupt almost immediately by your 3rd month in office, that all had to shut down again due to lack of funding or withheld funding, so they couldn't continue to operate. You want to say they were all Democratic owned businesses and stuff and illegally owned businesses because people are going to get deported anyway. That's simply not true. Because some of the businesses I'm talking about, I happen to know for a fact were people that voted for your butt to get into office. They're highly pissed at you. And you've already said, oh, you don't care about that, and you're going to lose a few people. You don't care about that because they don't have enough money to interest you. Yeah, you didn't say it as eloquently as I just said it, but you have said it on several of your platforms. And if people were listening carefully, they would have heard what you were saying. On one platform, you even stood up there when speaking about Doge and said, well, of course, we're talking about the people that, are 400K and above. Oh, yeah. Then next we have our middle class, two, 250K to the 400K and above. So pretty much anyone under that, you probably won't get a tax refund or you probably won't get a tax break. What the hell? Oh, if you make less than 40K, we're gonna cut SNAP benefits and everything else. What the hell? So what are you doing for the American people? Oh yeah, you just cut out all the support right from under them. Because the people that can't make that kind of money are the people that, as you keep saying, DEI hires, people that couldn't get a job no matter how much education they get, what kind of experience they have, what kind of skills they have, weren't going to get hired into corporate America, wasn't going to get hired anywhere. And you stuck them with low-paying jobs. You stuck them with the student loan bill. Which, by the way, has changed its name several times throughout the years. You say, oh, it's not the same. It is the same office. You just changed people. That's all. You just changed personnel, and changed the name. But most of the people that were in there running the stuff has still got their hands in it and are still running the stuff for the student loans. So, please, let's get real. I know because I've been following it and I've been tracking it because I'm one of the people that you lied about. I not only paid for my schooling, I paid for some of you senators that are sitting in those seats right now from back in the day when we were all going through school. Not the same school, but we all were getting educated about the same time. Yeah, some of you that slacked off and didn't pay for your bills. Yeah, I got charged. Me, the poor people, trying to get a job, trying to get a professional, permanent job. Yeah, we all got stiff with the bill for your education. And then you say we didn't pay for ours? No, not only did we pay for ours, we paid for yours too. So let's get real. You keep saying you want to get real? Well, let's get real. That's what I'm pissed about. Again and again, our government has preyed upon the poorest people of our nation. I don't care whether it's Democrat or Republican. Our government as a whole. So one side can't point the finger at the other side because you both have done it, but just in different ways. The Democrats say, oh yeah, we're going to work with the people. Guess what? You only work with the people to a certain point. The Republican Party says, well, we're the protectors of truth. I'm sorry. Republicans haven't told the truth ever. Not since you assassinated Lincoln has there been truth in the Republican Party, and you can't even tell the truth about that. No, you don't even tell the truth about that. You've already rewritten history several times to cover up the fact that the Republican Party planned the assassination of Lincoln and carried it out. Because the majority of the Republican Party did not want to get the blacks involved with the Civil War. And Lincoln knew he couldn't get unity unless he allowed the blacks into the war. That's the truth of why Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. That's the real reason and the truth behind him signing that. Otherwise, he would have just ignored slavery like everyone else was doing. The Civil War wasn't because of slavery. The Civil War was because the greedy Republicans wanted more of the wealth. And most of the wealth were down in the conservative states. That's right, the slave-owning states. And not all slave-owning states were bad slave owners. But the ones that were really bad were truly bad. So the fact that Lincoln even suggested he was going to do away and abolish slavery just made all those Republicans come together and say, hey, wait a minute. You can't do that. That would mean the North would own most of the wealth. And us Republicans down in the South don't like that. That means we gotta pay the North. We don't like that. We like it the other way around. We like the way it is now where the North have to pay us. And that's what started the Civil War. It was over finances. And slavery wasn't even the main issue. The main issue was blacks were the commodity. That's right, the slaves were the biggest commodity in America. But note, he abolished slavery, but no one in Congress thought to, okay, now let's get our expenses together and ship their butts back to Africa. Oh, that would have been too simple, because then we won't have any labor. See where I'm going with this? Trump comes in and says, deport all the illegal aliens. Oh, hotels are closing. Oh, farmlands can't operate. Oh, we're going to have a shortage on food by Christmas. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? Oh, go to war. He had always planned on getting us into a war, but I think that it happened, his hands were forced because he had no true plan on how he was going to do it. Just like we still don't have a health care plan out of his office. We still don't have a policy on health care. We still don't have a policy on the border. We still don't have... I can go down the list forever and ever and ever. What Kamala Harris told him during the debates, you don't even have a plan. Well, I'm working on a plan. I guess you're still working on that plan. So, for anyone that voted for him and they're still trying to support him, even though he's getting ready to send all your kids overseas to be harmed and mutilated to cover up his ineptness. Well, you got what you voted for. And I'm so happy you're so happy with the results. But if you're unhappy with the results, find it in your heart the next time you vote to not look at the affiliation of the person to whatever party. Look at the person's track record as to what they've done to help advance America as a people. Okay? All this hatred stuff has to stop. Because, in truth, you colonizers could have ended all this racism crap years ago. And you haven't. So don't come out crying reverse racism, because it isn't reverse racism. It's just that you hate the fact that the free blacks still drive, despite you trying to break them with alcohol, drugs, and everything else. The black culture finds a way to survive in America, in spite of your hiring practices, in spite of your educational freeze-outs, in spite of your economic freeze-out. You say we're living off the government? Well, the government made it so we had to live off the government. If you don't want people living off the government, then you need to change the way you think. Because it's only those of you in the government that are still doing the black and white thing. Most of us out here in America are just looking at the finances. And when we look at the finances don't add up to what the cost of living. These farmers saying they want black people to come back and work for them. You're not going to get any black person to come work for you for $11 an hour and stand out in the hot sun and everything else for 10 to 12 hours a day. You're not going to get that. Because if you're unwilling to do it yourself, and you and your so-called neighbors aren't willing to help you out and do that, don't expect black people to ever come on your farm and work for you like that. You should have thought about that before you let Trump run off all your help. Yeah, you didn't think about that. You were just voting because Trump was saying he was going to bring back the black jobs. Well, guess what? The blacks had left working your fields and farms a long time ago. You don't mean to tell me in the 30 or 40 years, hell, let's just say 60 years, in the last 60 years, you hadn't figured out that the blacks were done working for pennies? Yeah, they could do that on another black person's farm. They didn't have to come work for you. And guess what? That's what started happening. That's why you had so many black farmers come up in the world. That's right. They get along just fine within their local communities. Now you want to destroy that for the blacks because we got destroyed. Yeah, you destroyed yourself. See, that's what hate in your heart does. You can only get wealthy so much and so far before the hate in your heart consumes you so hard that you don't see the injustice that's being performed right in front of your eyes until after you start realizing, hey, nobody's showing up to work. Well, yes. I'm leaning over my sofa here. Sorry, but my back is starting to hurt. Yes. So now you got yourself in a real dilemma. On that note, I would say good luck, Mr. President. Do have a nightmarish night reflecting on your actions. Because as long as you keep pointing fingers, you're never going to get a good night's sleep. This is Carrie for A Dullard Speaks, signing off.